Hey guys, it's your girl, the Duchess. And I mean, honestly, if you're not already on Anchor, what are you doing with your life? This is the new wave, and this is where your podcast could be. It's easy, it's simple, it's on the go. Record your audio and reach the masses. There might be somebody driving on a road trip that needs to hear you right now. Get on Anchor right now. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's the best podcast, best way to go. Right now. Like, right now.
Which is,
All
I like
right.
that actually.
Like Sabrina's on the line.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Are you in it? Let's go. Okay.
And
Let
it's
me like
funny
some
to
shit.
go back to what you just said about making sure that what you're saying is helpful. I went on like mad Twitter rants today, but they were all helpful as fuck. Like I wasn't like responding to anybody to be a troll. I wasn't arguing. I feel like, and one thing I'm gonna tell you while we're on the air, I'm gonna thank you because I
Oh my
kept.
God! Stop!
I
You
love
always keep doing that.
a
I gotta
lot.
thank you.
A lot of the things that I was saying was like, no, you're not wrong. I'm not wrong, but this is what it is, though. Or like,
Yo.
it is what it is. Like nobody is wrong in how they're moving, but at some point, people are gonna have to face their own shit. And like, there was this guy talking about how he never wants a relationship because he dates so many girls with boyfriends. Or that's what he said. He said, I be dating so many girls, other people's girlfriends. And I was like, that's all fun and games. Exactly. I said, that's all fun and games until you don't want to settle down because you have trust issues, like because of that. And he's like, yeah, well, not even just that, but who wants one of that? Do you want one pair of sneakers, one pair of jeans? And I'm like, I hear you, but no, dog. Like you'll get it in a different sense. And I was like, he said, being a boyfriend is worthless. And I said, instead of answering it and arguing that, I said, I just want you to know that you're not worthless and your love is not worthless. And that's my point. That's my point of me answering on Twitter, because I could have argued with him as a female. I could have went back and forth like, oh my God, that's what's wrong with men today. And but it's like, no, we've all been there. I've been there recently too. Like maybe being single is better until it's not. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I really was like, you know what? I'm not going to argue with him. I don't want to make him feel embarrassed. I'm not trying to emasculate this man. Clearly something is hurting him. Something. And he said something about, he said being in a relationship is depressing because it's always something. So I answered and I said, trust issues are depressing.
Ooh, you were doing some service.
Right. So
on the Twitter.
on the Twitties, on the Twitties.
The tweet.
So that goes back to what you're saying about being helpful with what you're saying, and just like we don't have, and nobody's gonna be vibrating on the same wave, and especially retrograde. We might have to fall back from social media.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And so while you were talking too, and I was listening to the beautiful work you did on Twitter, I was like, you know, I love that you practice that, because that's love. I think a couple of things came up, but I'm gonna go to the notes that I just wrote, because I was like, let's keep, so we could stay like on a focus of like what
because
the conversation we were just having.
He could have easily triggered me. Go ahead.
Yeah, he could have, and you didn't. But isn't it beautiful growth? Like that you were able to put yourself, like that's growth. You know, like you were able to hold him. You know what you did? You held him in his divine nature, like as a divine being, and you wouldn't allow him to say or try to convince you that he was anything but a divine child of God.
Oh, yes, because I wasn't looking at him any lower for his opinion.
Yes.
I just wanted him to know that there's a deeper issue that needs to be had without being like, I'm better than you. Let me tell you why this is wrong. It's like, no, I want to help you, but one day you'll want the help.
Yeah, exactly. You were like, I'm just going to say the truth to you.
Yes.
And if you don't receive it, that's on you. But I'm going to say it with love, and I know I wasn't judging you, and I was doing it from the right place. and that's that on that. And you got called to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't go out of your way. You got called to do it. I know you. You get called to do it.
Right. I feel like I was getting called to do certain responses on Twitter today.
Yeah, and I know you don't do that all the time.
Yep.
I know that, just like knowing you. So that's what's up. And it's funny because I think that goes actually with everything we're saying. And it's like when you're holding, okay, so let me try to see if I can put this together and then, help me do this. So holding people in their divine nature, right? Like, which means you're not judging them. You're not, looking down on them. You're not doing superiority, inferiority, right? You're seeing from the both ends. You're having a different viewpoint because you're centered, right? In a sense. And then that goes, I think that really connects with like what is truly helpful information.
Oh.
Like not what we think is helpful, but what is truly helpful.
Right, because it can't fall on dead ears. It has to be,
Yeah.
or else I'll just be rambling and it's not helpful.
Yeah, and that's part of it. Oh my God, this goes to like everything we've been talking about. Like, this is all our friendship, like part of the deep conversations we have. It's like there's two parts to it, right? It's the giver and the receiver. And I think before we were talking here, we were talking about like the givers, like the tarot readers, like all the people online, all the social media readings, the collective readings, the general readings, and people like recognizing like, and even you talking to yourself about like how you doing discernment. And I was talking about how I was discerning, like, oh, this message isn't for me. This frequency isn't what I'm on. I don't need to listen to this. Let me turn this off.
Yes. That's how we started this convo. Was about binge watching like horoscopes and listening to horoscopes and YouTubes, because that's obviously something that we're into, and how not every message is for you, and if you know that's not what you're feeling right now, you don't have to always resonate with that. Like, I was even listening to a horoscope where they was like, oh, I know you're going through something and you're really hurt, and I'm like, oh, I mean, that might have been last month, but I'm pretty good right now.
That's not true for me right now.
I actually just got through that. But then I'm like, that as a reader, I had to say, okay, I'm going to have to remember that people are always going to be going through something. Even though I'm in a good space, I'm going to still have to be there for people who aren't. So I can't get tired of that neither. And still have to practice.
If you so choose.
Yep.
If that's still relevant for you and what your work is and where you're at, I agree. I see what you're saying. Like, and helping that part of the collective, or serving that part of the collective, which is even like serving you, right? Because that's part of stuff you've been through.
We got to lead them to the finish line.
Yeah, like, and to be supportive, because I mean, let's be honest, it's true. Like, no one does anything. Oh wow, this is a whole nother tangent.
Right.
Let spirit go. Like, the intention
Right.
is for whatever's our highest good.
And for anyone wondering, when I say the finish line, I mean being centered. I don't want anybody to think it's a hierarchy. I don't think it's not a hierarchy. It's not a. Oh. Can you hear me clapping?
I literally am clapping.
That's all it is. It's literally being centered. That's mastery. Because I wouldn't be able to respond like that on Twitter if I wasn't centered and he wasn't able to trigger me.
Right. And when you're triggered, all it is there's a teacher, another teacher. I always, I want to shout her out if anyone like listens to her stuff or because I feel like that's only fair. Like, I'm always like, I learned this from other people. Like, that's my point. Like, none of this is done by ourselves. Like, yes, there's a part of it where we do a lot of the work by ourselves. Like, like me and Lee were just talking about, like, how I had to spend some time go in, how I know people very close to me who have to go in and be alone with God. But, like, at the same time, you come out of that and you're always supporting or receiving support from others. But I wanted to shout out the teacher. This is so interesting. This is so funny to me, Lee. I always have such weird awareness since we started doing this. Like, this is the second time. Okay? But her name's Miriam Hafna, and she's amazing. So if anybody's interested in her school or looking for, like, a teacher that they can subscribe to and see videos, like, I would definitely go check out her school, North Mystery School, because it has been very helpful for me on my journey. And just, like, seeing another teacher and them breaking down energetic work, right? She does it from, like, energy, and that's something I resonate with, and you resonate with, too. Like, we're very much about, like, energy, right? And seeing and being in our own power.
Right.
And so I think that goes back to, like, how do you have a critical lens? Okay, now I'm just rambling, but I'm going to bring it back. So a critical lens when you're looking at these different readers, these different teachers, these different people that are out here now all talking, and I have air quoting, about the spiritual path. And it's like you have to be discerning of where these people are coming from, right? And how are they holding you? And what I love about the story you just told is that you were like, I saw it, I knew it wasn't for me, I practiced discernment, I didn't make it a big thing, but at the same time, it showed you something that you did go through, and you were able to be like, oh, that's not where I'm at. I can see that I'm not there anymore. This is where I was.
Right. And it becomes and you see it with your responses. That's the first indicator of how centered you are, and being centered, and your road to being centered is your responses to things like that. You notice not everything needs a response. You notice not everything is gonna, and even if because part of me, I can't say it didn't trigger me, because I would have never felt called to respond if I didn't, feel that little creak in my neck, like that's not right. But it's different, as opposed to on social media, whereas everybody wants to respond to correct people or spit their opinion. I saw him and was like, I don't want him to feel like that.
Yeah, you feel bad, like not feel bad. I mean, I've been struggling with this, like, feeling bad. Yeah, that you didn't want him to feel like that. I feel that. And but you wanted him to find his own way and heal himself. And you were just like, yeah, I'm gonna give you some signposts right now. So you if you want to take it and you're ready, or when you want to come back to this, you'll know that that's there for you.
And that's the biggest thing, is if you're ready, because it's true. And that's what made me feel less pressed about it, was he didn't have to see my point right then and there. I didn't have to see his point then and there. But like you said, I just dropped the truth real quick, and I let him know.
In a very loving way, not you didn't do it in a mean, judgmental, you don't know this yet way,
Right. It was just a matter of like, no, you'll see later that that's a you type of thing. Like, you're projecting that because it's going to end up in trust issues. And that's the biggest misconception, but that's a whole nother dating conversation. But the conversation is holding space for people, giving advice. And another thing is, when I said that to him, I didn't want to come off like I was trying to tell him what to do. But luckily on Twitter, everybody thinks they could tell you what to do. So it's like, since we're here in this culture of talking shit and being able to speak up, let me talk shit differently in helpful ways. And I feel like today I was just like responding to everyone that seemed either sad or something, and just like, I even helped somebody with their own tweet. Like, let's say a friend of mine tweeted, when people do this to me, I just match that energy. But not even a week ago, he had a tweet that said, when people do things, I let God handle it because God got you. So I went and I was searching for that tweet because I remembered that he put that because I liked it. So I went and I screenshotted it and I sent him his own tweet and was like, nah, bro, I like this one better.
No, you did not.
Yeah, I was wilding on Twitter spiritually today. Like, I was literally like, nope, I'm going to be the little fairy of truth. If you guys are going to troll on here, I'm going to troll for Jesus.
Oh, I'm done. Troll for Jesus. I'm done. Yeah, that's amazing. I think the reason, I just want to bring it back too, because, we're doing this one without a quote. So I wrote some notes, and I think you started to do it really beautifully about how do we discern what is helpful information, and what does it look like to have a critical lens? I wrote questions. That's what I did, so it could guide us. What does it look like to have a critical lens of what's yours and what's not when we're on social media? How do we do that? You know what I'm saying?
I think, again, that's in being part of being centered. To see, I've even noticed now, if I see quotes, I don't like them anymore if I'm not resonating with that. If I don't want to be part of the he-woman man-haters club. I'm not into that right now. I don't hate men at all. In fact, I love men. I want to be there for the divine masculine. So I've been personally avoiding quotes that are oh, forget men ain't shit. Even if it's funny. And that's our problem, is that everything is funny. All these memes are worded funny. It could be toxic, even with friendships. 3 on the clock. Even if it's not relationships and it's friendship quotes, if it's toxic and it's negative and it's something that I don't want to call in my life, I'm not going to like it anymore.
So it sounds almost like even being disciplined, too.
Ooh.
It's like, it sounds almost like just being honest with yourself.
Like a social media purge.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have been going through that. It's so funny because the teacher I mentioned, she was talking about that in one of her classes recently. And it's not even anything about, like, you know, I need to be mad or you did something wrong. It's just like, this is where I'm at and this is what it is. Like, no shade. Like, wish you the best. Like, I'm just not following you anymore. I'm not clicking that or whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be, like, this big drama. You know
Right.
So, I don't know. I guess, like, I was just, like, called to do this because I felt like what you were saying, it's like a lot of people, like, will watch general tarot reading. It's like, I guess my thing is people being discerning of who they go to. And I guess for me, like, the kind of teacher that I want or the kind of teacher I would suggest, and this is even here, like, when you hear Duchess or hear me talk, like, you know, it's always like, if this doesn't fit for you right now, or not all of it, a part of it, none of it, like, that's you. You get to decide that, not us. You know what I'm saying?
It's
like,
what you feed your soul.
Yeah, and it's like, I guess I want the kind of teacher who does what you were doing today, which started when we said at the beginning, like, that's holding me in my divine power, the image of my divinity, the image of my healedness, and knows that I'm just in the process of remembering that, and is helping me, supporting me by holding that vision, and that's the place they're creating their work from.
Ooh, yes. That's in a perfect world. Yes, that's exactly what the perfect teacher would be. Not a teacher that's like, you have to rush your transformation, because that's not what I told them either. Like, you have to see this way or try it my way. It was like, I don't really dig what you're saying, and I'm telling you this, and one day you'll get there. Maybe not in this lifetime. Cool story, but you're still
like,
lit.
It's none of your business. It's none of my business.
Right.
It's none of your business. Like, but I did my part. I did what was in integrity with me. I feel good about what I did. And that's that. And I love that. I love that for you. And I love that happened earlier. Like, that's great.
And it's dope to see that can be done on social media. Like, I think I had to learn that a lot. And I was talking to my friend about that yesterday, is how I had to learn, one, not to take things so personal on social media, how to respond on social media. And it's like, I used to be one that would take every comment so personal. I didn't know how to play with people. Like, I don't know how to joke around, because I don't play with my friends like that.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that I don't know how to take as a joke on social media before. And I had certain friends, like, I had one friend who would just fight back and go for the jugular on social media. But then that just creates more of that. Now you're inviting that, and now it's a war of who's going to hurt each other's feelings. Then I had a friend, Jazz, I'll say her name because it's in a positive light. Jazz, who is an artist, who's a rapper, who has to deal with comments, good and bad, all day. So I noticed she responds with lightheartedness, with a joke. Rarely will she ever joke back where she's hurting the other person's feelings, but it'll be funny. And that's what taught me social media etiquette. Like, I don't have to get triggered and angry by everybody's comment. I could respond, or I could choose not to respond at all. But I don't ever have to argue back with anybody or let them get under my skin or make me that. And let me tell you a random example that just popped into my head. Someone posted, this is the stupidest meme or whatever, is someone literally posted a picture of Starbucks, and they said this barista put a sticker over the Starbucks logo so that no girls could take selfies with it.
What?
Right, like how hateful.
How do they know that?
First of all, I didn't know that was a thing. And then I got... I didn't think it is. They scolded me in the comments for it. They said... They were like, do you know it is? It's definitely a thing. You're probably one of the bitches that do it. So...
Oh my God.
So listen to my comments, Sabrina, and dissect this to see how wild the social media world is. I said, I'm praying for the barista that was hating that much. That's it. That's all I said. Because you're obviously, if the caption is he did it on purpose so that girls couldn't take a selfie, then he's a hater. Like, you went out your way to put that sticker over it because you didn't want any girl today to have fun, right? I said, no, I went to the comment as we're talking. I put praying for the hater inside of that barista.
I like that better.
That's better, right? Praying for the hater in that barista. That's it.
That's not all they are.
Yo, I have 23 hate comments. One said, pray for them saggy titties. One said...
No.
Yo, yeah. They said, yeah, taking a selfie is a thing. What social media do you look at? Divine intervention in your info, you're just as much as the basic bitch.
Wow.
They said, yo, and it's funny because any other time I would engage in it. I would have probably answered. I would have probably went back and forth and tried to... But I really looked at the sentence, and all I said was, Sabrina, was that I'm praying for somebody. And that
and not even, and you did it, and you know what the problem was? You weren't on that frequency, and it was very triggering for people.
And that's the message of retrograde.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not on social media. For those of you trying to find me, I don't know, maybe one person. I don't know why I got that message. The one person who tried to find me. I'm not on social media right now. So it's like, you know, I don't know what happens. Like, Lee's always, you know, telling me what's up and what's going down. And I'm really proud of you for just, like, not engaging and not giving them any more of your energy or time. And, I mean, what you said was perfect. Like, the hater in someone, like, you're not even, like, saying that's all they are. You're not even self-identifying. Like, you're not even identifying them that way. And it's crazy because, you know, I don't know where y'all at. Where are these baristas? Because I was, you know, I'm in the O, and out here, okay, I was literally so funny yesterday at the Starbucks thinking to myself, you know, we need to celebrate our baristas. Like, lo and behold, this is going on social media.
Yo, that's so funny.
I swear to you, Leanna, I was driving. I was like, we need to have a day for Starbucks baristas.
You know why? Because
they're doing God's work.
Yeah, because we have good experiences with them.
Yeah, that's true. I was like they were so kind, like they were out of cold brew. I was talking with him. Like, you don't even know how much these people are getting paid, and they still show up to make us those delicious coffee drinks. Like, come on. Like, I really feel like the baristas need more love. Like, shout out if you know a Starbucks barista, you are a Starbucks barista, send us to a Starbucks barista. Like, we love you over here. Like, we love you here.
We love
really
the barista,
you.
Which is why we definitely could tell that one was being a hater. If you went out your way to put a sticker over it, but even still, I didn't go on the comment and be like, "Wow, such a hater." I literally sent prayers.
Yes.
I sent prayers, and they were so triggered. And that's when I laid here today and was like, yo, the world is so crazy on social media that me saying, if I would have wrote a negative comment, it would have got 1 million likes and everybody would have loved me.
Which is wild. And I'm happy you didn't step out of your integrity to do that.
Yep, but the minute you say I'm praying for someone, you're the devil now. Like, what? This world is wild on social media. So you have to be centered. You have to be centered, because then it won't be a trigger. Then it'll be like easy identifiable. And I think this retrograde, this eclipse season, the veil has been lifted so much for certain people, for a big part of people, that you're looking at everything so silly. Like, I literally wrote today, like, retrograde shows us how dumb shit really was, because it's like, what? Like, I feel like I was living in a parallel universe.
Yeah. It's crazy. And, you know, it makes me think of, like, why I even brought up the teacher I brought up earlier, and it was because she says she was in her latest classes, she was saying, like, I don't want to use the word trigger, because she's like, let's retire that word. Ooh. And let's start using lighting up. Like, that lit you up. Because that's more neutral, and that gives you the opportunity to be curious of, like, why am I being lit up? What does this mean?
Oh, I pictured the thing from Three Ninjas, the little dummy when they were punching it and they would light up. So it's like, how did it light you up? Did it light a spark in you, or did it light a negative spark in you? Yeah, was it a positive or a negative?
Yeah, and if there's any kind of charge then there's always work, right? Because that's what trigger means. There's a charge. There's an emotional charge related to whatever trauma, abuse, whatever it is. We're not getting into all that per se here. But, like, you know, whatever it is for you, that's what that means. Like, you don't, like you were saying, you don't get triggered if you're centered. And because when you're centered, you can watch yourself better and you can see through the illusion better and clearer. Not to say that you don't not like stuff or not agree with stuff or have a opinion about stuff, but are you charged and acting from a reaction or from a response, which is two different things. When you react, you know, I think that's what we're getting at, like what you're saying, like in a practical way. Like that's one way to like take away from all this stuff you've been describing. Like that's one takeaway I got from what you were telling me.
Let's pick on that reaction versus response. Ooh. Because your reaction is your trigger. You know what's funny too, to speak on that, is I heard, because I still binge watch horoscopes, people. Yes, just because I'm a reader doesn't mean I don't listen to readings. So it literally said that a lot of us, and I'm gonna agree, were raised so much where like either we're daddy's girls, mama's girls, where we like listen, we have that fear of our parents so much. So they was like, every now and then you have to ask, is that your voice in your head or your parents' voice in your head?
Yes. Oh my God. You know what's crazy is, you know how I just told you about me going into seclusion for a little bit. That came up in my seclusion. I haven't even told you this off air. So this is the first time I'm telling her this, everyone. Like, I literally, that's what came up for me.
Oh.
Yeah, because, I'm going to get this. It's about whoever was the authority figure, just to make it more broad for other folks who have different experiences, like, because we're all included. Like, you know, like, it's like, whoever was the authority figure, which authority figure did you identify with, and whose voice is that in your head that you keep critically shaming yourself for? Whose voice is that? And like becoming aware of that. And for whoever this is for, because I'm sure this is not just me, it has to do with solar plexus work. That's where this is the lesson in the solar plexus, is like power and domination. And what people do is, you know, like old school parents. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to explain this. I don't know why.
Right. Because, no, I feel like it's good what you're going to say, because it's when we say this, we're not saying negative or bad parents. A lot of times this is for overcautious parents.
Yeah, it's for all of it. Parents, because it's two truths are true at the same time. Like you were saying, what you were doing on Twitter, right? It's like people get stuck because they're like, I love my family. I love the people who raised me. I love my guardians. I love so-and-so. But I also feel all this anger and pain and hurt towards them. And then it's these two opposing forces that don't match according to the mind, the little mind in your head, the ego. But in spirit, in the world of spirit, in the world of God, all of those can be true at the same time, and in fact are true at the same time. So that's what stops a lot of people stopped me for a long time. I'll speak for myself, for going forward on that healing journey when it came to different authority figures in my life, like my mother and my father, my stepfather, whoever else, you know, I had an issue or whatever, because I thought that I couldn't, I thought it was like betrayal, or I couldn't feel both of those things, or this doesn't go with how I was taught the world works, when in truth, that's all a lie.
Right, it's all like conditioning. It's like a deep sense of conditioning.
Yes, very deep conditioning that a lot of us are all collectively dealing with right now, who are choosing and are here to work through that. So I would imagine anybody who's listening to your podcast or getting drawn to your work, Lee, you know, they're in a place of being ready to kind of hear and just figure out where to go on their path, and just synchronicities, I'm sure, for whoever's listening, happening on their healing journey, you know,
right.
Whatever that looks like.
Right. And it goes in so many different directions, because there was something else too I heard about, or I wrote about. I feel like I channeled random tweets too, in a sense of us living in spite of parents too sometimes. Like there are people who will hold on to relationships because they came from a broken home, and vice versa. Or people who may say like, oh, my dad was never in the picture, but then they're still cheating on every girl they come across, and they're like, but I hate my dad, he ain't shit. And it's like, what? Like, people don't notice that we carry the same things. We carry a lot of the stuff, whether we notice it or not. You could absolutely love your parents, have the best relationship with your parents, and still carry traits that you don't even know you're fucking carrying. And in a sense of the parents we never met, I say we, or people, the parents, people never met, or they could say like, you know, my parent was never in my life, but then they're doing the same similar things in other relationships. It may not be with their children. It may not be with that. So it's like people need to just find the patterns of what the root of the problem is. I feel like I went all around town with that. But
no, we really did. This is for you.
Right. It was just that those are all messages, but it's just like listening to the voice that you think is triggering you, because you could say, I don't want to be like my mom. I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be like my aunt. I don't want to be like this, like my grandparents. Some people even, it goes to the point of their grandparents. And then it still shows up in different ways that you do shit.
Yeah. And it's actually, in fact, energetically, what you resist, you persist.
Yes, because you're doing it in other ways. You're just tractioning that rubber band somewhere else. Like, I'm going to hold on to this toxic relationship just because my dad left.
Yes. Yeah. And whoever that's true for, you know, it really has to do with, like, when you don't want to become something, you're still focusing on it so much. So maybe, you know, even look up like some Abraham Hicks stuff, and you could even type in like the Abraham Hicks, like, you know, with whatever issue it is. She usually has something on YouTube, you know. It's just funny because technology can be so like dark and negative in a sense, right? Show like the underbelly of the shadows that need to come up to be healed. But at the same time, it's also so, you know, it could be so positive.
Talk about it. That's the next topic.
Yeah, and it's taken me a long time to get there. I will shout out you, Leanna, because you're just so truly positive oriented. And I realized when we last hung out why. I don't feel the need to tell people, explain why energetically. That could be another conversation. But, like, it's just that she just, if you've ever been around Lee Duchess, like, however you know her, she truly has, like, a very high vibrating essence, you know? And so it was triggering for me a lot. Like some of our friendship, you know, a lot is like, are you really that?
Yo, you know? My kindness triggers people all the fucking time, yo. I swear,
and I had to own it, you know, like, no, Lee, that's not you, that's me. I'm really sorry. I need to work on that. Like, I apologize, like, own it. You know, that's accountability. You know, you can't be going around projecting on people. But hey, that's just me. So I'm saying all that to say is that I realize that social media can be really positive because of you, and that there are really good things to it, and you can really connect and really, like, I mean, we really truly have connected. Like, I think Instagram helped bring us closer in a sense when we first met, and, like, you know, all of that stuff, staying connected before we ever did any of the other work we did together on the side. Because
it shows personality. You know, you can see someone's personality. Our throwbacks show that we all came from somewhere. We all did it together. I love that. And that's very true. And there's so many upsides, and it took a long time for me to get that too, that social media is helpful. Like, it is a blessing. It's about what we do with it. And it's like Facebook, when Facebook came, I was like, oh my God, I get to see my old teachers. I was adding teachers. I wasn't writing crazy shit on Facebook because I was adding family, teachers. I think that Instagram, like, I've never connected with so many famous people the way I have on Instagram. You know what I mean? I would never be able to do that in real life because I'm not outspoken in real life. Like, if you see me, if I'm at a club with famous people, I'm so into treating them regular that I won't speak. And I have missed a lot of opportunities like that. Whereas on social media, they could see my personality, they could see my work ethic, they could see things that I do, and then, you know, then it's personable. Whereas I've been around these people probably plenty of times, but I'm never going to say shit because I got too much pride and I'm too scared. So social media helps you connect. We learn so much. How many teachers did we find? Like, oh my God, for the listeners, we are hoarders of lessons and
oh my God,
and workshops.
Our repository.
Yo, workshops be taking all our money. We don't have a shopping addiction with clothes. Our shopping addiction is fucking workshops.
It's workshops, teachers, fucking decks. We love
tarot decks, like
any decks.
So it's like the internet is an amazing place, and even with the tarot community, like there's this certain Virgo channel that I watch where this lady interacts with her viewers and she's asking them about their families, their dogs, and I'm like, yo, these readers come back every day, or like these viewers come back. Like social media it can be a good place if you're in a good place. And if you're not looking for that dark place and that dark web, like I even find myself like scrolling past stuff quick if it's negative.
I mean, yeah, because it's all about discernment. And it's not to say, that negative things don't happen, that we don't experience negative emotions, that, all of that stuff, like that's not true. It's about the perspective and the grace you give yourself through those and seeing that, you don't have to stay there. You don't bypass it. You feel it, but you don't have to stay there. And if you're not there, you don't have to put yourself there to fit in with everybody.
Ooh, fitting in is another part of being centered.
Today is crazy. I didn't even expect this to go everywhere it's gone. I hope y'all are still here with us.
Right.
I know some of y'all are here.
I know. I'm loving this eclipse retrograde. I mean, I want to say that in the best of faith and hope that everything goes good, but I am going to stay low for the month of June.
Yeah. This is your letting everybody know. It's so funny because I feel it too. It's like there's something about June that feels like go in, stay out of everything, and be by yourself and be very limited. And it's like that's the thing. Like nothing is forever. So anything that you get attached to needs to get cleared. So like maybe people do form attachments to social media, and that's why we get asked to step back. Like that's a whole other conversation about what attachment is. Because I think I talked about this in the last podcast that I came on guest talking, called in with you. Like I was like, I'm still learning it, and I am still learning it, so I don't feel comfortable sharing too much. Like I'm very big on that, but it's like, but for those of you that know that and have your own knowledge and know about what that stuff is or know where to go get more information, I think that's the word. It's like attachment,
Right, and staying away from the things that is gonna piss you off, light you up.
Yeah, and really, because I think, but there is a positive to that. Even because if we didn't know what lit us up, how would we even know where to do the work we need to do?
Right, that's true. That's true. We can't fix it until we know, and that's on that.
That's on that. So, like, I mean, I feel like this is like a high key, low key, like take it how you want to, like gentle consideration, suggestion. Like June might be the month to be low.
Be low and observe. Observe. See what doesn't vibrationally, energetically even fit in your aesthetic at this moment. Because, and that's good, because when I keep saying the veil has been lifted, I feel like it's a perspective switch. People have gotten themselves out of that funk, like we were in funks we didn't even know we were, because we were just conditioned every day to think a certain way. So I think like now we're yearning for the light. Like whereas everybody's like, oh my God, there's no way you could be positive every day. I feel like people are tired of being sad and upset every day.
Yeah.
So people are seeking that transformation. So this is a time where you're going to see that arguments are silly. The same people you've argued every day with, you're going to stop and be like, wow, this is a really silly argument. The same shows that you're like, oh my God, this is so interesting. You're going to be like, how don't they get that? How didn't they find it? You know what I mean? Like nothing is the same anymore because the veil has been lifted and people are getting centered. So it's about your reactions versus responses.
Yeah. Oh, you like that?
To bring it full circle.
Yeah, it really is. And to be discerning. Like, I think, like, even to bring it more full, I see, like, a spiral. It's just, like, bringing the spiral to the center. Like, it's like, you know, we started with, like, how do we be discerning with tarot readers, with these readers online, with people, with the teachers that we go to for advice, for support. It's like you're going to be doing everything that Lee is saying in your own life with people in your life and with people on the internet, you know? So if you're being called to like unsubscribe or unfollow or block or whatever it is, do what you got to do. Like, and it's as long as it's from that place of I'm being called to do this, right? Because the energy you do. Okay, let me tell this for whoever this is for. The energy that you start something with is the energy you will bring throughout the whole thing. So if you move from malice, you will create more malice.
Ooh,
just like you were saying on Twitter.
If your intentions was sketchy from the rip,
yeah,
it's gonna continue to be sketchy.
Yeah, and so just be gentle with yourself because like we've all been there, and I can't say like I've always been here, and like, you know, Lee is one of like my gifted best friends, like because of the work I've done in my life. Who like I know like those people are gonna stay around no matter what you do. So if you create boundaries and you're like, I need a month, I need 2 months, I'll talk to you in 2 months. I know that those people will be there, you know, and I'll be there for them. So you it's about really looking at your life and doing that. And I think we're both saying that because this is where we're at. Like we're both doing that in our different ways,
right?
Where we are.
And I think like the universe is trying to remind us like, maybe we're called to help people get through that finish line that we've been saying of being centered, the finish line of feeling like it's okay. The world doesn't have to be perfect. Like I used to get depressed because the whole world was up in flames. Like I'd be like, how come people are mean? How come people are saying this? How come people don't like positivity? And to do media, I have to be negative. Why is the world like this? And it's like, that's not my business anymore. Yeah. Because my world is pretty fucking lit.
It's the party.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there comes a point where even the most gentle people, which I'll put myself in that category sometimes because I get sensitive.
I think that's strength. I think sensitivity is strength.
Right. Because it's like you genuinely have to identify and know why that feels some type of way. But now I'm looking at it like that's not the whole world, and that's not a lens I'm gonna keep tapping into. And I think people who don't have faith, people who are still stuck in that I don't want to believe in anything, I don't believe in source, I don't believe in this, life is just what it is because they're obviously A, hurt by something, or two, are not focusing on a trigger. Because even in a world where everything is going wrong, you could still find the silver lining or choose to be centered in a fucked up world.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny you say that because it's true. Like people have a lot of like another area, not only, so, okay, just to bring this part together too. So like, wow, we're like really riffing right now. For anybody that's still here, if you're paying attention, we really are like channels bouncing back and forth between each other.
Right.
So basically, with the solar plexus work, with the authority, with the parent work, with whoever was a parental figure, okay, they say that, and again, like we are just two chicks talking, chilling, like, please go to real, like, go to, if you need to go to a therapist, go to a therapist. But this is just like from our experience. That's what we're talking. We're not therapists or licensed.
Quick disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer, yeah, just for all that. So just know that we do spiritual energy work, and that's that on that. So we went to bring it back that as a child, your relationship with your parental figures, the feminine figure and the masculine figure, whether they were there or not, is also relationship, right? You're gonna have, like you were saying, you're gonna have a feeling about that. That also counts. That actually transfers to your relationship with God, because they're like your first authority figures, and like God is like our like ultimate authority figure. So a lot of times you'll see that people have like issues with God that are similar or exactly the same as the issues that they have with their family. And it's because it's just any authority figure, because as a child you think that your parents or your authority figures or your guardians or whoever's taking care of you as a child are God.
Well, and that's funny you say that, because with my parents specifically, it was like the total extreme. Like, let's say swimming. My mom would be like, you better stay away from that water because it's dangerous. Whereas my dad is like, if you don't learn, you're a punk.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like my whole life, that's in my head. My head is like, this is really fucking dangerous. And the other part is like, you ain't living, girl. You ain't living.
Yeah, and it transfers. No, and it's those voices in your head.
Yep.
And it's a lot. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's easy work, but it's worth it work.
Right.
But it's definitely worth it to be. And it's learning about like all of that stuff. I'm seeing people here who have. You've seen a lot of these things we're talking about, and I feel like we're somehow putting it together in a way that's helpful. So, like, it's like that reparenting work. Like, there's multiple parts of you, and it's really about, like, coming together and facing those shadow parts of you until maybe this work isn't relevant for you. Like, for some of you, maybe this is, like how Lee was reacting to the tarot reading, like, oh, I'm done with that. I'm on another kind of work. Okay, that's perfect. Like, all of this is only relevant until it isn't. Like you were even saying earlier, Lee. Like, what did you say earlier? You said something earlier, like, oh, I'm happy single until I'm not. It's just like that with spiritual work too.
Yeah. Because it's like you set it up for that time, but then you grow out of that and you think it, and you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. So wherever you're at, that's perfect. Just know that you're exactly where you need to be, and we're honored to have been a part of this conversation with you and have you a part of our conversation, because it's like, this is the work. It's and hopefully I'm feeling like, a little bit of relief, maybe. I don't know, for whoever that's for. Maybe not everybody, but I'm definitely tapping into whoever's listening to this. I definitely feel that. So, yeah, so just to bring it together with that, what you were saying, Lee, like, it all relates to that with God. Like, so some people find that they're angry with God, and they just haven't learned how to express that anger because they think they're not allowed to be angry with God.
And I literally saw a tweet, I wish I would have screenshotted it, that it said, we don't know discernment until we want to have that relationship with God. Because only then will you sit still long enough to know that it's either God or somebody else running them thought processes.
Right.
So whether you want to believe in it or not, it's only one or the other. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's funny. You remind me. It's like they say that, I read this quote too with the solar plexus stuff. It's like, if you don't own your power, then someone else is owning it for you. Right.
If you want to question it so much, then you're picking a side.
Honestly, that's so funny. There's no in between with this. So if you don't make a choice at this point, then you've already made a choice. Like, there's no in between. There's no middle ground when it comes to this work. And so if you got to reconcile your relationship with God, reconcile it. It's so funny because I did that. I created that workship to do that.
Oh, and it's crazy because I was just about to say, the cool thing about us is that we're not psycho Jesus freaks that are gonna judge anybody for that, because we've been there and we know that, right? We love Jesus, and Jesus loves us, and Jesus loves those who are still lost finding their way. So the fact that you want to have a workshop and want to work with those kind of people show volumes, because in certain religions, or not, I don't even want to call them religions, certain cults masked as religions.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
certain gangs. I'm gonna call them gangs now.
Honestly, it really is like gangs.
Yeah,
real.
They would.
Not every group, but let's be real about most groups.
If they're moving in that energy, it's a gang energy.
Yeah, it is a gang energy.
If they're moving like that, so that goes to speak volumes on what type of teacher you are and aspiring to be, to even want to have a workshop for people who are struggling with their belief system, with their how they identify with God. Like, you're not scared to talk to somebody that's like, no, Sabrina, I don't believe in that. I don't think that.
No, that's fine with me, but it's like, why? Oh, you good. Have a good one.
She said no, but it's just like, why? I'm eager to know. And that's dope, because nobody should feel judged. And that's not what we're doing. We're just trying to get you to that finish line of being centered. And maybe once you're centered, your perspective will change.
Yeah, and that's all it is. It's like, we're here to support. Like, I appreciate you saying that about everything. And it's like, I'm working on it. But at the same time, like, and this goes back to teachers, like, I'm the kind of teacher who, like, my work means nothing if I'm not living it and embodying it and doing it myself. So it's like the only reason I love having those conversations is because I've been there too. Me and God have duked it out a lot, okay? Like,
right.
like, there was a whole period of time where I refused to believe in God because I was so angry with God. So it's like, you know, I appreciate that. And that's why, though. It comes from, you know, I've lived it, and that's why I like to be supportive in what I've lived. Like, that's why, like, I won't talk about attachment yet, because I'm in the middle of living this lesson.
Right,
so
right.
It's not appropriate for me to start talking on it unless I'm being clear with everybody. I'm still learning this. I haven't got very clear on it.
Right.
Know? Like,
and everybody in those energies need people to hold space and places to hold space for them. Like, there is no wrong or right level.
No, exactly. And I think, like, there's a lot of things that even people who are listening have learned, have embodied, and have transformed in their lives, including you, Lee, which I'm telling you this all the time. Like, you people who have, there are transformations you have completed that you can be sharing and learning and giving that, and whatever way you want to share it with people, for money and not money, whatever looks right for you, to support others on this journey. And honestly, when you're doing that, you're always supporting yourself. Like, it comes to a certain point where all the work I'm doing is between me and God. Yeah, I want to help other people, but this is, like, not because I think other people need my help, but because I'm doing what I need to do according to what God and me have planned. Like, you know, no one needs me. You don't need anybody. But but at the same time, we do need support from the right place. And I think that was the point of everything with even these tarot readers. Like, you need to be, I would suggest, you don't need to do anything, but suggest be discerning about who you're following and why you're following them, and if they even resonate anymore.
Right. And discerning about everything you feed your soul and what's in front of you, because even the dope thing about the universe and God is that even if you don't believe in it, he'll still guide you. Right. It'll believe in you. It'll still guide you. It'll still give you indicators. It'll still give you, you know, red flags. That's why we love to talk about red flags all the time. Like, that's literally what the universe is doing. The universe shows us red flags all the time. It's up to us whether we're still going to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you going to choose to still play the victim? Are you going to still choose
right.
You know, talking about betrayal? Like, dude, we could do a whole conversation about victim. Yo, this turned into like a 2-hour cast.
Yo, word. And even if you don't believe in source, a higher power, it's still, the indicators are still there. The life still works on that frequency.
And who's to say that your path is not more right than our path?
Right.
That's how you truly feel when you check in with yourself. Like,
right.
I can't say that. Like, but I think my biggest thing is that you actually took the time to know yourself and examine your beliefs, and they're not because the voices, like you were saying, of your parents or somebody else running in your head, the conditioning. It's your voice. Right.
And that's like, you know, we'll definitely have another episode too on when we start practicing more with the abundance and money with relationships. I'm like the most positive person, always talking about abundance and positivity, but I have an issue with the way I look at money, because I always be like, oh, people that got money are evil, or money turns you evil, or your morals change once and it's like, no, so what? Just because we want to serve and be positive, that means we got to live in a shack like Jesus did? No, we deserve to live a luxury life too. But it's my relationship with money and how I see it that needs to change. And it's because it's a belief system.
Mm-hmm.
So
change your beliefs, change your life.
So that's next. Like, I don't have to prove that I'm a righteous person by rationing.
Facts.
Like, I could have a hot tub too, my mans.
Yeah, you really could. Have 4 or 5 of them. That's what I'm being Okay. I love it. This was so great. I don't know how you feeling. I think this actually might be complete.
Right. That felt good. That felt like a good,
that felt right.
Bring it around town.
And we're going to listen back to this, and I know we talked about a whole bunch of different topics, so if it feels right to go back and expound and have a whole episode about one topic, like, I'm sure Lee, you'll do it, Duchess will do it, or if I can guest, I will guest, or you'll get other awesome guests.
Right. And quick disclaimer, sorry to cut you off. The first like 4 or 5 minutes when I was recording, the headphones were plugged in, so it was muffled because Mercury retrograde. But the way the conversation started was when you were talking about Miriam, so it flowed perfectly. But that just goes to show everyone that with Mercury retrograde, it'll fuck with you, but the message is still gonna message.
Hey.
So we have a wonderful, let me see how many, a 45-minute podcast. Only 5 minutes were like muffled and had to get cut out of the beginning, but it still flowed perfectly.
I'm not mad.
Life-
Okay, good.
life
We
is
brought it back.
perfect.
We kept connecting stuff.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
hopefully it
that-
got brought up again.
That goes to show, don't get frustrated with your path. Don't get frustrated with anything. Let life flow. And the biggest message is definitely that things are gonna get surrender. Talk about it.
We're learning it, and if you don't, look, it's the easy way or the hard way. You got 2 hours. That's it. You're gonna learn it. It's
Right.
Just way you're gonna learn it.
Stop resisting. Everybody needs
Yeah.
to stop resisting, because if we pay attention closely, the things that are moving around and shifting now are things that we tried to shift before and didn't. So let the universe shift it around for us. We're getting a rearrangement and an upgrade. Take it easy for June.
Yeah, divine timing. Just have faith, trust. You know, you can cultivate that. No one, that's something that's a practice. You don't have to just have it.
Right.
Like you build it like anything else.
If you build it, it will come.
It will come. And that's what I want to say. Oh, that's what I was trying to say. Put in the comments. I don't know. I'll talk to you after we get off air about the last podcast. But, message Justice, like, hit her up. Like, if any of the topics you want to talk more about. Because, like, this is as much for us as this is for you. Like, we're doing this as a community that we're building. And that Duchess is building. And I'm happy and honored to be a part of. So, it's like, just send her messages, emails, whatever it is, however you contact her, to let her know if there's something you want to talk about or something that resonated or whatever feedback you may have that could be helpful. We appreciate that. I know you appreciate that.
Facts. And I definitely see the views, so I know people are listening and resonating, and I understand that certain topics, we do talk about stuff that people may or may not be ready to openly talk about. So you guys could always email us with like an anonymous freaking email. Maybe I'll set something like that up too.
Like
because
a form or something.
Right, because I know that it's definitely going to hit, and there's going to be certain people that maybe aren't ready to say their name, but it definitely hit us up. Say what you want to talk about. You can inbox me. Just don't be freaking weird.
Just don't be weird. No
boundaries.
No
Cloak boundary.
Cloak it up. No weirdo shit.
Yo, that's hilarious.
I love it. All right. Well, blessings so much. Thank you again for having me, Duchess. I love you.
Always. I love you. I love us. And that was our New Testament of the day.